Salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. V back with another casted game of Age of Empires 3. And we're here on a very serious mission today, folks. We are going to investigate another bold claim that has been made post-patch. And what is that claim? What is that hypothesis? What is that thesis? Well, it is that Sweden, poor Sweden, is now definitively? How many what? Do I speak English? I think I do. It is that Sweden is now definitively the worst civ in the entire game. No competition. Now, Sweden, in case you've been living under a rock since 2020, they've definitely fallen from grace, all right? They used to be really powerful, and now they are very much not powerful. And after the patch, they got even more nerfs to their hack-a-pellet units. They did get a couple of buffs, but they weren't really that substantial. And so now everybody's going around on the forums saying, Sweden's weak, nerf auto, Mr. V is sexy. Okay, I don't control what they're typing on the forums, but I am going to investigate that by looking at some high-level Sweden. Oh my gosh, more Shake? No! I found the only other high-level player who's consistently playing Sweden. This guy's been playing Sweden for like the past 2 days non-stop. And I did not plan this, but for the second week in a row, in the top of the map, playing in the color red as the Swedes, we got Carp. We were using him as a barometer for the new Italy. And now we are going to see if he can prove that Sweden is not utterly useless. But he's going to have some tough competition because in the bottom of the map, playing in the color blue as the Portuguese, we got Popcorn, everybody's favorite movie theater snack. Now, Portugal's kind of another one that people have been arguing needs a nerf. I am not in the crowd that thinks Portugal is OP or too strong. I definitely think they're strong, but I'm more in lines with my friend Shake on this one that if you know how to play against Port, they are not unbeatable. So I don't think Port needs much changed. I think they're in a good spot right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Fatorius is too powerful, but we're going to see how Popcorn does it. He is sending Fatorius as his first card and has a pretty standard Portuguese deck to boot, has plenty of cards in Age 3. And let's take a look at Carp's deck. I almost said Shake. I'm too used to watching Shake Sweden. And he also has a very standard deck here, though he does have more of an emphasis on Age 4 than I see a lot of Swede players have. And maybe that is going to be the new thing for Sweden. Maybe the old Age 2 pressure or the Age 3 hack-a-pellet spam is just not viable. And I think people are going to need to adapt. They're going to need to evolve. But that might be hard to do if Sweden is indeed the weakest civ in the game. So we'll be keeping an eye out on Carp, especially seeing his build order, seeing how he is, trying to deal with these new changes. And what is he going to send as his second card? Not sending anything yet, probably going to be Dominions. And we do have, okay, so we got the Tartars on this map and we got the House of Vasa. So I wonder, is he going to get the Torp wagons on top of Dominions? That's 8 Torp wagons in a very short amount of time. That actually could be really, really good. And it would be historically fitting because the House of Vasa is a Swedish royal house. So, Fredrik Hassel something. Meanwhile, what is Popcorn doing? He is also getting up to the Age 2, going with the Naturalist, and not sending Economic Theory as his second card. I sometimes see people double up in Age 1, but probably going to be following up with either 700 wood or 700 coin, depending on how he wants to play this. I don't suspect any Age 2 pressure, but it'll all kind of depend on where that second town center goes. Both players did start with a trading post. Other than that, very, very standard. Market in transition for Popcorn. No market as of yet for Carp. Let's take a look at what he's doing now. And yeah, the Torp wagon's coming in immediately, getting Hanseatic League, and he got the 2 cows? What in the world? That's amazing. Does that send, that sends 2 villagers and 2 cows, right? So he's currently at 17 to 15 vills from Popcorn, decided not to go for the 10-10, and now sending Dominions, and he's gonna have so many Torps, but he's putting so many on his first mine. Isn't that like the biggest Swede no-no? Oh man, Shake must be rolling in his grave, even though he's still very much alive. I like what he's doing here, though. I like that he's not sending all of his torp wagons to one mine, because he's kind of diverting his investments so that if he gets early pressure, he's not going to lose all those torps in a very quick amount of time, and he'll have, enough of a chance to respond and maybe defend. But Dominion's now coming in, followed by 700 coin, so we're going to be seeing something definitely in Age 3, and I like that. Hopefully he'll send Engelsberg Ironworks, maybe 700 wood, maybe eventually send the cavalry card, but it's hard to say, with the nerfs to the Hackapellet unit. I don't know if Swede is going to be as reliant on them as they used to be. Still, they've got Hussars, they've got Caroleans, and I wonder if we're going to actually be seeing more of the Jaeger play out of Sweden. I've seen that before, and I really like Jaeger Carolean. I think it's such a good composition, but if we look at Popcorn, he's gone for a very, very far forward town center. I like that placement. It's in a nice choke point, though he is going to be surrounded, because Carp is now going for the house of, man, I keep neglecting to figure out how to pronounce this. Yagelion? Oh man, I'm gonna get absolutely obliterated in the comments. 700 wood now being sent by Shake, and both players just kind of massing up their ecos in their own ways. Popcorn by getting out lots of vills, though he isn't currently double queuing, but that's because he's already queued up for the Fortress Age. And I think this is why people think, Portugal is so strong, is because their FF is so fast. And I mean, Popcorn didn't even 10-10. If he had 10-10, this could probably be 30 seconds, maybe even a minute faster than it already is. Now double queuing and going with a barracks. So it'll be interesting to see what Port decides to go with. I definitely think he should incorporate Cassadors and maybe Dragoons as well. I don't personally like Halbs versus Sweden, just because I think they have so many ranged options that can easily counter your Halbs. And Sweden usually doesn't go mass Hussar. So, I mean, unless you want them for siege potential, I prefer Dragoons, but Cassadors for sure, maybe even some organ guns, as those are very, very good. That's another shipment that people have been arguing about, the 3 organ guns, but I like it. I think every Civ, if I'm being totally honest, kind of give you a peek into my philosophy here, I think every Civ should have that one card that feels just a little OP, all right? I think every Civ should have at least one. Now, currently not every Civ does have one, but it just kind of gives that extra flavor, right? It makes you feel powerful. It makes you like playing the Civ. You look forward to sending that card. Popcorn now in H3, and Carp not far behind with the Bishop, and currently at 120 torp population, has a ton of villagers on wood currently, getting his market upgrades. No units as of yet, though the Cassadors from the Age Up are now out, and they're going to get a brilliant catch here. Going to keep these 2 torps from going down and kill 2 villagers as well. Nice. Carp down to 19, while Popcorn is starting to get that advantage now at 22. Going to be double producing, hopefully triple producing here. He has plenty of access to hunts, still lots of natural resources on his half of the map, and I like this town center placement. I think maybe going up here might be a bit more defensive, but I do like that he's securing these natural resources to the south. So I think long term, that's going to be really good. But because Carp aged up with the Bishop, he is going to be getting a town center wagon of his own. So maybe that Portuguese advantage will be nullified somewhat. And he's currently getting the legacy from this trading post. I actually don't know what that is. He's currently got Balance of Powers going, and he's got Order of Vasa going. But now that these Halberdiers are out, those must be the 8 Halbs shipment. His trading posts are definitely going to get pressured here. And Carp is somebody... Carp really does not make a lot of units in the early game. I'm noticing this more and more. He really invests heavily in eco, and he's always willing to sacrifice infrastructure. He's not just going to rush and, immediately change his game plan the minute something starts getting sieged. He's okay falling back, but then eventually when he pushes, he's got such a massive eco behind him. It's why he wins a lot of his games. But sometimes it does get him in trouble. 2 Falconets out now with nothing to protect them. A barracks going down, probably going to be Caroleans coming out of that. And he's got another shipment. What is it going to be? Could send 5 Hackapellet. Does have the coin to send the Hessian Jaegers, and that's what's going to be sent. I love Hessian Jaegers for Sweden. I think this is the new go-to for Sweden, is Jaegers. They're so powerful. They have such good range resistance. They beat any other skirm. And as long as you don't get them caught by heavy cav, they're really hard for the enemy to kill unless he's got like mass artillery or something. But at that point, you've already lost. But a nice group of Castadors and Halberdiers coming in now for Popcorn here. He's going to get 1 Vil kill, maybe 2, but doesn't want to lose too much to these Falconets. Decent micro trying to get around them, but does lose quite a few Castadors there. Out come the 10 Hessian Jaegers already in, oh, what formation is this? This is, oh yeah, this is like guard mode. I know it allows them to tank more damage, and these guys already are pretty beefy. 250 points on a skirmisher unit, and the 40% range resistance. Oh, ridiculous. Compared to the 110 of the Castador. Although the Castadors actually have higher range resistance, but their HP is just so low. Still a very good skirmisher unit. Carolene's coming out from Carp now, while Popcorn is now triple queuing the villagers. He's got veteran Hussars on the way, so he is going to be switching to heavy Cav here. I like the incorporation of Cav. I like that he's not continuing to invest in Halberdiers. I think that is the wrong choice. But these 2 Falks and these Hessian Jaegers, gonna be tough to deal with at the moment. Villagers making a migration means that he's not gonna have any TC fire against these Jaegers or these Falconets. Maybe a mistake, but on the bright side, he is going to be able to use those to gather resources rather than being built in a town center. 3 organ guns on the way as well, which 3 organ guns with proper micro will beat 2 Falconets. And with the help of 5 Hussars, this might be a really good catch. Carp is getting really greedy. Oh man, he's sitting right under the town center. Oh, pop Minutemen on top of this. That would be such a godly pop. Out come the Minutemen. Oh, not quite in time with the Hussars, but still going to do some damage to these Caroleans. And if he can take out the Caroleans, he is going to have free roam over these Falconets. And in come the Hussars as well as the organ guns. They're going to get a shot off, but 1 organ gun is going to go down, 1 Falconet going down, and a clear win for Popcorn. Where are the Jaegers? They're getting a Vil raid down in the south of the map. And this actually might be a decent trade for Carp. He is going to lose quite a few of his units, all of his cannons, a lot of his Caroleans, but he got like 4 or 5 Vils for that trade. And I like that he didn't stay there with his Jaegers because they would have just gotten eaten up with those Hussars. And that's 900 coin worth and a shipment. So you don't want to be throwing that away willy-nilly. But the Portuguese army here is threatening this second TC. Carp running away. Caroleans coming out to face these veteran Hussars. Nice catch there. Popcorn may be getting a little too spread out here, is going to choose to retreat, maybe going to try to besiege these Torps. And this is something I always go back and forth on, right? When you're playing against Sweden, how much time do you spend? Oh my gosh, another covered wagon. Is he going to kill it? Oh, that's rough. Losing a covered wagon there. Nice catch. But back to what I was saying. I always wonder, you know, is it worth it to siege Torps? Because yeah, you are taking out your opponent's economic potential, but aren't you also just giving them a lot of time and giving them a lot of line of sight as to what you're doing? I don't know. I go back and forth on that. Let me know in the comments below. How much time do you invest in killing Torps if you're playing against Sweden? Is it kind of, you know, is it something that people maybe spend too much time on? I don't know. It's a debate. But looks like, oh, Carp's got the Savalax Jaegers. These guys are even beefier, 263 HP now and 30 ranged attacks. So he got the upgrade from the church, and he's now got a really scary amount of Jaegers. The Swedish army, it's not nearly as big, but it is very, very powerful. Nice catch here, getting off these reinforcements of Castadors. But the 2 Falconets, or sorry, excuse me, the 2 organ guns and, oh, excuse me, 1 organ gun. Got a little too eager there. But there's a lot of veteran Hussar coming in here. Might they get trapped? He is trying to get away using the choke points. In come the Hacka Pellets. In come the Carolean charge. And these guys are just so tanky. Look at that. After all those veteran Hussar hits, still the Jaegers continue to stand. And now that the Caroleans are involved, and the Castador is actually getting a little bit late to the game, it looks like a Culverin came out, take care of that last organ gun, and look at how many Jaegers are still alive. These guys are so beefy. And with the church upgrade, they are obliterating these Castadors. Caroleans holding off the Hussars, and the veteran Hussars are now falling. The veteran Halberdiers are going to easily fall to this light infantry, and that went from being a pretty favorable fight for Popcorn, and that was just an absolute slaughter. I think he just overinvested there. I think if he had pulled out while he still had a healthy amount of hussars, maybe regrouped, but I think he just underestimated the strength of these Jaegers, and he paid for it. Now sending 5 Dragoons as his next card, starting to run out of unit shipments here. He does have the British Harquebusiers, but I doubt those would be very useful at this point. And these guys have been kind of going back and forth, grabbing these trading posts. Looks like, oh, did he already send it? No, he hasn't sent Hanseatic League here, but Popcorn could send that as well, get the Torp Wagons on top of his villager economy, currently at 52 vills to 44 for Carp. And so this second town center has been a godsend for Carp. It's allowed him to really close that villager gap, which if he was still on one town center would be absolutely huge. He would probably even be down like double villagers at this point, but I really like what he's doing here. This is a much less aggressive, much more boomy Sweden, very heavily focused in Age 2 rather than Age 3. And I think that's going to be kind of how Sweden's going to continue to play. But to me, it seems like the Swedish army is all about quantity they're all about quality and less about quantity, right? So we've never seen Carp have a massive army, but his units are very, very powerful. And so I think it's going to be kind of like an anti-Russia, right? Whereas Russia just wants to get out tons and tons of units. Sweden wants to make sure that the units they do have out are used well and get their full prices worth. Spice trade now coming in for Popcorn. Carp also sending 1,000 wood. So both players kind of falling back, investing in their eco. And it looks like Popcorn has decided to switch his composition into Dragoon Cassador. I like that change. Oh, and he's getting veteran winged hussars as well. Okay, if he can catch the Jaegers in a good position, those are going to be the answer. But more hack pellets coming out from Carp. These are the unit that everybody's been talking about, the guys that got nerfed, both in their upgrade cards and their speed and their HP, and maybe even their attack. I don't know. They did get one buff, but it's not until like Age 4. It's the Finn horses. They upped that HP for hussars, and it's hack pellets. So it's all cavalry. That's actually a really good card if you can get to Age 4, 20%. Most cards are usually only 10, 15% upgrades. But the Swedish army still remaining quite small here. Carp knows he has the time. He knows he's bought himself the breathing room, so he's going to go up to Age 4 with the cavalry marshal. And I love that. Arsenal, Artillery Foundry. Carp is ready for the long game. And I think Age 4 is really where this guy thrives. I think that's where he likes to be. Meanwhile, Popcorn is also gathering up his strength. He's going heavy into cavalry here. Look at the winged hussars. He's double queuing veteran hussars as well, and a huge mass of dragoons. And if he catches Carp at the right time, right as he transitions, before any upgrades can come in, before any reinforcements can come out, and if he can get on the Jaegers right away and find a way to deal with the hack pellets, this could be ugly for Sweden. But man, that is a scary mass of units coming towards the Swedish base. And these winged hussars are no joke. 494 HP, 20% range resist, and 49 lance charge attack, and then a 33 hand attack. And lots of Cassadors here. Well, not a large amount, but enough to kind of pepper those hack pellets, try to get them down so that the winged hussars and the normal hussars can get in and do their work. And let's see. Ooh, Popcorn's heading in. He's sounded the bugle. The cavalry charge. Oh my God, the siege of Vienna. It's on its way. If instead of Ottomans, it was Swedes. But the Jaegers are nowhere to be found, and there's a lot of hack pellets here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Can Carp micro his way out of another push? He is now into Age 4, but he's not going to have time to get any of those upgrades down. He is going to deal with the Culverin here. Popcorn continuing to push, but Carp is doing such a good job keeping those hack pellets alive, not allowing the hussars to engage. And the Cassador is actually a little bit distracted here. They need to be getting on these hack pellets and dealing with them as soon as possible. And now the villagers being pulled in to soak up damage, but I don't know. The Jaegers are in such a good spot too. They're squished in between these two torps. And I think this actually might be Carp's battle to win. Still so many hack pellets, and the amount of heavy cavalry, it has been obliterated. And the Cassadors are far too late to the party to do anything. And now Minutemen jumping on top of the Cassadors as well. And this is going to be a beautiful cleanup, even pulling bills to tank damage from these Dragoons. And look at how many of the Jaegers are still alive. Still 11 of these guys. And so many Hackapellets still alive as well. And something to remember is those Hackapellets do have that area attack. So in mass, fighting against a large group, they actually do really good damage output. Now sending a factory, more Jaegers on the way. And this feels very, very good for Carp. And I don't know, I think that push, it was too disorganized from Popcorn. I think he got into the base and then he didn't really know what to do once he got there. Is now sending upgrades, but I mean, there's no way he's going to be into H4 anytime soon. He has 72 villagers against the 57 of Shake, Carp, not Shake. Oh man, I gotta get that out of my head. More Jaegers coming out along with Hackapellets, and I think this is the composition we're going to see for the rest of the game, however much of it is left. Second factory on the way, and Carp actually has a decent amount of cards in H4. He's got the mercenaries. Oh man, and these affect Jaegers as well. If he sends these guys are gonna get another 20% hit point boost. Man, I would love to see him follow German mercenaries with Finn horses. Or the other way around. Would just make this army absolutely insane. Dragoons getting picked off here for free. And I mean, these guys are now Drabants. These are age 4 Hackapellets. So say what you want about the nerfs. These guys are still going to absolutely decimate these Hussars. And even the winged Hussars, they don't have a prayer. And look at how much XP he's getting from this fight. 30, 20, 30, 20. The Jaegers are still just unkillable. Oh my God. I love these units, man. I think this is the new way forward. I'm just gonna say it. Like, there's the game. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Sweden is not looking as ragged as everybody was telling me in the forums. They're certainly not strong, okay? Don't get me wrong. Sweden is not top tier. They are definitely still one of the bottom feeders. But to say that Swede is like impossible to win with, and I was saying that when the patch came out, I was the one saying there's no way anybody can win with Sweden. But man, Carp proving me wrong once again, and I love it. But that dichotomy of the Jaegers and the Hackapellets and the Karelians, I think that's going to be juicy. But let's take a look at more of the details of this game. Guys, follow me to the post game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in the post game and a super close match in terms of economy. We see both players, just a couple hundred resources difference between them, both using their economies. Portugal triple queuing with town centers, getting over the map, scouring the hunts. Meanwhile, Carp getting full Torp population and getting that second TC up, which I think was a huge deal, a great adaptation on his part. But in the military tab is where we see the big difference and why Carp was able to pull this out. 89 units made, 153 units killed. That is such a good bang for your buck. And if you want to play Sweden, you're going to have to get really used to having small armies, but having very, very powerful units, and you got to be careful with them. You can't throw them away like you would playing as like a Russia or a China or maybe like an Inca or an Aztec. Okay, you got to conserve those units because you're not going to be able to make as many as your opponent. Unless you're just spamming Karelians, which at that point, I wouldn't recommend it. It's too predictable. Meanwhile, we go to the military unit count, and oh my God, Popcorn having a huge military. We see 43 versus 37, a pretty even fight. But I mean, Carp walks out with 14, and Popcorn walks out with 3. Let's actually change it to military unit population because Jaegers are 2 pop. Yeah, okay, a lot more even in terms of pop, but wow. What a huge victory here for Carp. And it looked good for Popcorn when he caught that Falconet, those 2 Falconets, and then he was chasing after those Jaegers, but I think he just overextended there. And then this second fight, just really good micro from Carp. I mean, Popcorn had a really scary army, the Winged Hussars, the Veteran Hussars, the Dragoons, but I think he was just a little too behind with his group of Cassadors, and I think he just chased those Hackapellets around too long, lost too many of those heavy cavalry units, and we can see, I mean, he ended with 18 population to Carp's 49, so just really good trades overall. And yeah, I don't know, guys. Maybe Sweden isn't as rotten as we all thought they were. But let me know in the comments below, are they the worst Civ in the game? Is there a Civ that's worse than them? If you say Dutch, I will destroy you. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back with more games next week. Until then, have a great day. Have a great life. See you later.